Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Star Wars Stuff Podcast. My name is David.
And my name is James, and this is where we talk about all things Star Wars. And I'm
That is
excited. Are
correct.
you are you excited? Oh, this is the right podcast. Okay, just want to make sure we're not, talking about
This is the Star Wars Stuff Podcast.
the Star Wars stuff. Notice how our
Yes.
name is in the title and we actually like Star Wars. You know what I mean? Like we actually enjoy talking about Star Wars. Bender is in the house on YouTube. Bender, thank you so much for joining us. And what a
Darth Ace
day.
1 as well.
Oh, Darth Ace 1 is also in the house. Thank
And
y'all
if I
very much
sound
for watching.
super loud, it's James's fault. Just want to say that.
Well,
Do I sound loud?
yeah. How does David sound? Because he gets on and he's like this. I'm like, you don't sound good. He goes. So if he sounds normal, then let's all say he sounds normal. If not, then I'm sorry. Maybe it's my headphones. But
All right.
before we get started though, we have to thank our patrons. Is that correct? Before we start this thing,
That is correct, sir.
go for it.
Hayden Hauser, Darth Ace 1, Liam McCallion, Chris Simpson, Kevin Leininger, Devin McCaffrey, Drew Peters, Zach Netzel, Maya Morris, Maka Tautala, Adam Haber, and Brad Mackey. Thank you so much
Yes.
for your awesome love and support. It's weird hearing my own voice in my headphones.
Oh boy.
James made me change it before the podcast.
I made
don't
him
know.
change it because I feel like when you hear yourself, it sounds better in my opinion. But anyways, so the Acolyte comes on in less than an hour.
Yes, this is the
and
pre-show, James. So we're
This is
gonna
the pre-show. I'm
pre-speak
excited.
about the Acolyte. Yeah.
I'm really excited for tonight's episode because tonight's episode we might actually find out what happened.
Right.
So we might actually Soul might actually tell us what went down 16 years ago. What changed? What
Might get
changes?
some sweet Wookiee action.
Yeah, I think
like
we're gonna
this.
get a good yes. And Carrie Ann Moss is probably gonna have more of a
Less tattooed, Carrie Ann Moss.
yes, TJ in the house. TJ. But yeah, we might actually get more Jedi action with them. We might see exactly what went down. So let me ask you this question: Is this week gonna be a total? My screen just did the weirdest thing. I'm so sorry.
That
Oh.
I can tell.
Can you still see me?
Moose Soup Yoda says, yes, I can see you.
Okay, cool.
No,
Oh.
Moose Soup Yoda didn't say that, but I was reading Moose Soup Yoda on YouTube says Jedi Squid Games.
Oh, okay. And Bella said, "LOL, thank you." But no, is this week gonna be a flashback or like
It's
like
gotta be, man. I mean, we
Yeah, like the whole
waited
thing's gonna
so long to get
what happened?
this big action sequence on Brendock and to finally find out
Yes.
what happened, how fire burns concrete, that whole thing.
Yeah, and I agree with TJ. I'm not gonna say exactly what he said, but I also want to see some dark stuff.
So yeah,
in this
TJ
next
has a
episode.
typo in his YouTube. It
Yeah.
says, "I want to see some dark stuff in the next podcast or next
think he-
episode."
I think it's dark Sith in the next episode. Sith.
Oh, okay.
I think that's what we were
He
trying to get to.
mistyped. Yeah, okay.
But no,
all
I
good.
agree. I think we should be getting a flashback, or this whole episode is 16 years before that night of, but it's going to be told from the point of view of the Jedi landing
Right.
on the planet, finally figuring out why they're there, figuring out what they are investigating. Yeah, he agrees. I think that's what we're going to be getting this next episode, and then the last episode, next week's episode, is going to be the conclusion of that story. So I think we're going to be seeing some really, really cool stuff this next episode. And Bender, you got to get on it. The Acolyte, it's pretty good. It's pretty good so
I
far.
think Bender's joking. Bender on YouTube is saying, "I still have not seen
you know
the
what?
Acolyte."
I think he's joking. I think you're joking as well.
He says he's too lazy.
We have somebody say, I don't think it'll be a flashback for the whole episode. I think it'll be bits and pieces as telling. Yeah, that's one way because he's gonna have because May is still in handcuffs at this moment. So yeah, we might actually get that. He's just telling her the story, then we get flashbacks.
Well,
But
don't you think it's going to be Osha with the helmet on, and that's when the flashback stuff takes place? Or is it because she didn't? I mean, she has the Force. She's a powerful Force user. Maybe because I mean, she didn't witness it, right? Or maybe she did witness it, and she got a mind wipe, right?
Ooh, we're gonna go that way.
Yeah, because that's a
Okay,
possibility
okay,
too.
yeah, because he does say something with they you should know about it, like when he about the helmet and everything and what they do with the helmets. Um, yeah, that's a good point that
Yeah.
we find out about it through that. And do you think? Okay, so do you think we're even gonna? So you're saying we're actually gonna see OSHA in this next episode? I'm thinking we're not even gonna see OSHA this next episode. I think if we do, it's gonna be at the very end or at the very beginning, but it's mostly gonna be May and Soul this next episode.
I don't know what exactly we're gonna get. I hope we get the Brendog flashback. I hope it's mostly that. I hope we
Yes.
get the interactions and the relationships and the character development of the four Jedi that appear on
Yes.
Brendog.
Yes.
Kalnaka speaking Shriwook to Torben to Indara to Soul, and that just whole big interaction. Just I want the character development aspect of it to like fire up. And I
What's
agree here with Noah Richer on YouTube. He says, really pulling for a good episode this week, boys. I'm getting sick of it being torn apart on my social media feeds. I'm getting sick of it too. I don't understand why it's getting so torn apart.
yeah,
It's not as bad as people say,
it's
and I
not
don't even
bad.
think it's bad at all. I
It's not
mean,
bad at all.
I think people came into it with preconceived notions and already kind of with a negative attitude, and that affected everything, and it snowballed, and you get the mob gang mentality, and yeah, I think that's kind of what happened with the fandom.
Here's what's gonna make me laugh hysterically is if this week's episode answers all those questions that everyone had, and then everyone's gonna be like, "Oh, see, they listen to the fans." You know what I mean? Like I'm waiting.
They've been
I'm
done a
waiting
long
for,
time ago.
I'm waiting for that to happen, and then people being like, "Yeah, see, this is what we've been waiting for." And it's like the story has to build to that moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like you
yeah,
can't just start episode one with being like, "This is what happened," and now we're gonna just keep going. It's like, yeah, you can do that, but it's not as exciting. It's not as exciting of a story as how they're telling it now.
yeah. I think we
And
coined it on the podcast actually. The great flip floppening. I think that's a hashtag we came up with.
oh, there we go. You heard it.
So
You heard it. The
yeah,
Star Wars Stuff podcast. But I don't think it's bad at all. I'm digging it. I'm loving each week. Each episode just keeps building on the next one. And I'm pumped to see how it all concludes. And I
yeah.
don't understand how hold on, wait, somebody said so many unanswered questions with only 2 episodes left. Have they revealed the total time for these last 2 episodes? Have they? Do we know?
I haven't seen anything where they reveal the runtime. It's probably going to be a little bit longer due to the fact that it's going to be the end of the show for this
Yeah,
season.
I think this not last tonight's is going to be kind of like I'm going to guess it's going to be about 38 minutes. I think we're going to get about 38 minutes of an episode.
Yeah.
I mean, trust me, everybody, I want a long hour and a half episode, but Disney's not going to do it. They're not going to do it for us. Maybe one day they will. Maybe one day we'll get some, movie length, feature film Star Wars episodes. But as of now, I'd say the show as a whole has been pretty good. Besides episode 3, besides Rise of Skywalker, episode 3 of the Acolyte is the worst Star Wars content I've ever seen.
So what
Whoa.
exactly happened in episode 3?
Episode 3 was the flashback, if I am not mistaken.
Oh, where they do the power of one, the power of two, the power of
one, yeah.
many.
Yeah.
I didn't even think that was that bad, man.
I
people
personally enjoyed it because I know that's Noah's his opinion. I mean, we're not going to badmouth. We're not going to talk about that.
Yeah.
But I personally, my opinion, as I enjoyed it because I love the fact that we saw a different interpretation of the Force that you kind of know about, like we've kind of seen before, especially with the Night Sisters and everything in Clone
Yeah.
Wars, and also in Ahsoka that we've seen. I just like that we finally got an explanation to how a certain group sees the Force, quote unquote, the Force, and I was like, this is cool. This is so cool, and I like I said, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I like that we saw that different perspective, and yeah, I'm for it, and I think it was interesting, and it was something Star Wars has never done before, quote unquote, and I didn't see anything wrong with that episode. My mouth was literally like dropped, like the whole finale of that. I was like, what just happened? How did this go south so fast? Like, how did this all go up in flames? And then, of course, in the back of your mind, you're thinking, well, I have a feeling there's more happening, because when the two sisters see each other, they both yell at each other, what did you do? They both are confused, like, wait, what did you do? And she's like, no, what did you do? They both have no idea what just happened. And I think we're gonna get a little upset at the Jedi after this episode, and I think that's
I don't
I
really think so. I
I
think it's a whole like kind of
what you got?
mirror to our planet, and like if you look at the Jedi like cops, I mean, there's good cops, there's bad cops. Obviously, it seems like Sol and maybe Vernestra broke bad and
Hmm.
became what she became because all the new High Republic people that read all those books, everything about Vernestra Rwoh, she seemed like a really great, wholesome, humble
Yes,
character, prodigy as a youngster,
the youngest
only light
Jedi
whip
Master. Yeah.
user. But something happened in the course of those years leading up to the show. That's what I think everyone is feeling. Her and Soul are not maybe the most honorable, and
Trustworthy,
maybe yeah, we're gonna see something tonight that kind of sheds light on that.
which you just remind me. So if we do see this flashback, I think you were onto something. Osha should be the one who actually sees it. Soul, I don't think, is a reliable narrator, reliable source for what happened that night. Unless he absolutely, I mean, we did kind of see his remorse in this last episode. We did kind of see that hurt that he
Yeah,
had. So there could be a moment where he says, "We did this. We messed up completely, and we're trying. I'm trying my best to make up for that mistake that happened all those
yeah.
years ago." Um,
Maybe it's gonna
and
be a
then,
big Rashomon episode. Maybe we get the 4 different points of view from Torben, Kilnaka's Soul, and
oh
Indara,
yeah,
and it's just all different. And we're still like, okay, well, what actually happened? It turns into like a court
the
case of sorts.
I would totally be fine with that. Like
Yeah,
that's something really cool for Star Wars to do. And of course, that for me that goes back to Anakin. From my point of view, the Jedi are evil. You know what I mean? Like from
yeah,
what he's seeing, this is what's happening, and Obi-Wan's saying, "Well, no, that's not what's happening." And the same with Luke and Ben Solo, like that the different perspective they had for that moment. So
yeah.
yeah, it's interesting that you can do a story like that. And now that you say it, David, if it doesn't happen, I'm gonna be really disappointed. So I'm just gonna throw that
Yeah,
out
let's
there.
not set those expectations, because that's
Yeah,
been helping me with the Acolyte. I go in there like not thinking about anything. I'm just like watching it and absorbing it and digesting it and trying to talk about it on the podcast. But with Noah Richer here on YouTube is saying Coral's acting in episode 3 was so forced and the power of mini champ felt corny as hell. It felt like they were poorly trying to replicate the Benny Gesserit from Dune. So I think okay, so I think Solo had this issue too. All you have to do is not have them speak or chant in basic. Change it to an alien language and have subtitles. That would have made it better, I think.
yeah,
Because even at the beginning of Solo, when you had that like slugworm creature talk like an old person
yeah,
in basic, it just didn't feel right. I mean, throw an
yeah.
alien language in there, it's gonna feel more menacing, more
I
mysterious.
mean, look
Like
at Jabba. Look at Jabba. Look at Greedo.
yeah, and I mean
Like,
that was started by George Lucas in the original trilogy, and it worked. And why kind of change it? I don't know.
yeah, that's true. I never thought about that way. Um, but I like that the moment I started reading Dune, I read Dune about 4 or 5 years ago for the first time. The moment I started reading Dune, I was like, "Oh, George, you you better watch what you did, man, because the Benny Gesserits kind of remind me of some Jedi here." So, but we're just
Yeah.
gonna.
So okay,
eh,
so let's name. So we have a Dune expert on the show right now, in James.
I'm not
He's
a Dune
read Dune.
expert.
He,
I just read it
he
twice,
he's
but
compared to me on the podcast. You're the Dune expert, so
oh
you've
boy, here
read the
we go.
book
Yes.
forwards, backwards, cover to cover. Okay, so name all the similarities
Oh my
between
gosh.
Dune and Star Wars that you can think of on the spot here.
Well,
This isn't rehearsed, guys.
this isn't rehearsed. Well, I mean, the Benny Gesserit, of course, being able to control you with the voice, being able to manipulate your thinking, of course, goes the Jedi with making you
Okay,
these aren't the
there's
droids you're
one.
looking for. What's up?
I said there's one.
Okay, I
We're
thought
gonna
you were
count
like
them.
pointing to something. Of course, desert planet, Tatooine, and then
Okay,
Dune, Arrakis was a desert planet.
yeah.
Spice is mentioned in New Hope, but we really don't go deep into the spice.
Right.
Um, and then the Emperor, there's an Emperor, there's a who's in charge of
Okay.
everything.
5.
Um, and
Lined
then
up.
you kind of get to the Return of the Jedi, where the locals help you defeat the evil
Okay.
emperor,
6.
and that's at the top of my head. That's what I got. That's what I got for you. There's no sandworms in. Okay, technically you see a skeleton of a sandworm in A New Hope,
Well, I
and
mean,
then the
yeah. Well,
Sarlacc
what Favreau did with the
with the
I'm
crate
forgetting the
dragon.
name. Yeah, the crate dragon. I can't believe I forgot that.
Yeah,
So yeah. So that travels in the sand. I'm surprised they did that whole thing.
yeah.
Um,
I was like, whoa, you better watch out. So Star Wars and Dune have always had similarities, and
yeah.
you know,
Sand people, the Fremen.
true. Yeah, the Fremen, the
So
Sand
that's like
People, the
8
natives, and
big things there.
so there's a lot. There's a lot.
Yeah.
So when people say the Bene Gesserit and Jedi, I'm like, yeah, you're pretty much on. Except Bene Gesserit in
Yeah.
Dune was
The voice,
women,
the force. Yeah.
was women only, and the women were the most powerful
Yeah.
of which. Side note: when the new Dune was released, and everybody was like, "Oh, they're going woke." The women, and I'm like, oh my, like that was back in 1968 when Dune came out.
Wow.
He already had that the women were the most powerful of the entire, like all the men, yeah, they're in charge, but the women actually have all the power. But anyways, okay, what do we got?
Yeah, Darth Ace 1. Yeah, I want to read. I want to try and go in order here. So, Darth Ace 1 on YouTube. Do you guys think that the water he walked into last episode has healing properties, or did he just feel like going for a swim? I think he just went for a swim. I don't think there's healing properties. Do you think it on Baldemnik?
No. Crystal, our good friend Crystal Kyber. In case you don't know, check her out on YouTube. She's amazing.
Yeah,
amazing.
She's our friend. She's actually hosted some podcasts, but she's extremely busy in Hollywood right now.
Yeah, she's insanely busy.
Just like James.
She pointed something out to me, and another friend of ours was with May. He never showed himself. He covered his he covered his head. He covered all of his body, so she never knew. May never knew who he was. With Osha, he completely strips down and show pretty much is so vulnerable to her as opposed to how he was with May.
Right. Because it feels like the end game was Osha.
Yes.
Chimera trying to get to Osha. I think he tried to get to Osha via May.
Exactly. And
but how is she more powerful if they're identical twins? What's
I don't
the deal?
know.
Are we going to get that answer?
I think we're going to get that answer that Osha was the key, not May. And so that was what I was like, that's an interesting perspective. But anyways, watered down green milk was my first thought.
Yeah, Moose Yoda on YouTube says
we were all hoping it was.
Thought.
I mean, we weren't all hoping, but we were like, it'd be pretty cool if it was Octu. Like that would have been pretty cool if they did Octu. And
Bitter says I've read the first 5 pages of Dune.
I don't blame you. I remember when I read those first 5, I was like, okay, what's the deal? And then once I got a little bit further in, I said, okay.
Yeah.
Noah says, how have y'all felt about why am I reading it? Okay.
You want me to read it? No, Rich on YouTube says
being the introduction to the High Republic in live action. Personally, I wish they went back further along the time of the Light of the Jedi and built up to the Acolyte. So this is where Disney doesn't do what we want them to do, where they have a lot of great books. There's a lot of amazing books in Star Wars Disney canon, which I know I hate to say that, but there are. Why not adapt those to live action? Why not adapt those to animation? Light of the Jedi is one of my favorite Star Wars books. Like that book is insane.
It's very cinematic.
So good. Very cinematic.
Yeah.
The pacing of those first, I think it's like 50 pages. I was like, I could not stop reading. Yeah, I don't know why they won't adapt these things. But putting it at this era within Star Wars, within the timeline of the Skywalker saga, I still believe is a test by Disney to see how the fans react to going a little bit further back within Star Wars, within that timeline. And if it's a success, which we all know it's the second highest watched Star Wars, only second to Obi-Wan, the numbers are there. It's probably most likely got to get that second season because people are watching it. Right. Hopefully they then say, okay, well, let's go a little bit further back now. Let's go a little bit further back. We'll maybe have some of these people when they're younger. And then I think the ultimate goal for Disney is to go all the way back to the Knights of the Old Republic. I think they're trying to test the waters to see how far back they can go.
Well, I mean, they've put on the big timeline that they had in London that it's Old Republic. So yeah, they're gonna address it at some point.
Yeah. So
and then the very beginning with Mangold's film.
how great would it be at the end of this last episode of next week's episode? We hear those names, those like Darth Bane and Darth Revan, and like, you know what I mean? Like, we start to really get that lore, and then we're like, oh, but here it goes, they're doing it, and then they go back, and then they start
Yeah,
telling
yeah.
about.
So the big thought is that planet that looks like Octu is Baldemnik. That's where Plagueis eventually killed Tenebris in Legends. It might not be canon, but it has a big tie to the Legends
Mhm.
books, and it has like cortosis in the mountains, and we see
Yeah,
that big
which is
cortosis vein.
and
So
and here's my before I know we're trying to read these comments, but I love how some of these people were like, you know, why don't they pull from Legends? And it's like they do, and they're like, no, that's not what it's like. What do you like? Come on. There are some things in Acolyte that
yeah,
are like deep cuts in Legends. And it's like, how did anybody even find that? But anyways, okay,
and
let's
the
keep
and the
going through
season's
this.
not over yet, so they might
Yeah.
get like have like some like huge explosion of stuff. And I haven't seen like any like YouTube videos or stuff from all the like the naysayers of the Acolyte. Are they like silent right now because they're loving the dark side user with the cortosis and
I think after episode 5,
right
everyone was kind of like,
the flip
oh,
flopping? Yeah,
okay, that was it built up to something. That's the thing when they say,
yeah.
oh, it was building up. It's like, no, it was building up to something.
No
But anyways,
stuff. So
what
TJ asked on YouTube, "Do you guys read the books and comics?" James reads all the books. I'm answering for James right now.
I I haven't read all the like I read like the
Okay, he's
first
read a lot of
4.
books.
I read the first 4 of the High Republic. I haven't read them all because the same thing happened with the other books, which was they just kept coming out, which is great. You know what I mean? That's so good that there's so much story, but they just kept dropping, and I didn't have enough time to get them all. So
Yeah,
there's a lot of High Republic stuff out there, and
right,
it
right.
was really cool at Celebration. People cosplayed as the High Republic just
Yeah,
off of the comic books. That's it. There was no live action, and I was like, the High Republic's a big deal. That's a
right,
it's
right.
a huge deal. But yeah, they're pretty good. But I go nuts if Yoda made a cameo. I mean, she did say there were no legacy character like cameos, but I
Yeah,
mean,
Leslie Headland, the showrunner of the Acolyte, said that the only stuff they're pulling from is the EU and High Republic. But Yoda's in both,
Yoda's
right?
there. Yeah, he's
So
there. He cameos in a
but
lot of like.
it was weird because she acted like in an interview, I think, with comicbook.com. Like, can you imagine if they let us use Yoda? Like, why would they not let you use Yoda? This is primetime Yoda stuff right
Part
here,
of me's also
right?
wondering if she's because what's his
Yeah,
name?
like the
He
straight up
was like,
kind of like being coy about it.
yeah,
Yeah.
he was like, I didn't do any of the lightsaber training. I was a little bummed out to do any of the lightsaber training. I'm like, dude, you did the
Yeah.
most lightsaber training. Like that fight was amazing. You know what I mean? So he
Yeah.
lied to us blatantly. Yoda could show up, and part of me is like, it's weird if he doesn't show up. If Yoda doesn't make a small cameo, that is even weirder, in my
Yeah, so
opinion.
so one
So
criticism that I do have is when they go back to Coruscant, it feels very small. It feels very small in the
yes,
Jedi Temple. They're like on a very confined set.
yeah,
I think the first 2 episodes they go downstairs to the jail lockup, and that felt pretty wide open. But other than that, I mean, it's felt very confined. Um, Bender on YouTube says, "Could we see the High Republic troopers in this episode?"
you're gonna have to remind me about the High Republic troopers because I
The
don't remember
High
that.
Republic troopers. Yeah.
You have to show me that. Also, I want to
Show
see
us a picture.
what's that? The vector, right? Is that the
Yeah, we saw that. I think the very first episode when Yord and his Padawan dock on that.
I want to see one in
Trade
action.
Federation,
I want to
the
see them
Moynihan ship.
actually show the lightsaber
Yeah,
powering it up. Like that would be just
yeah. It's like it's almost like a promise they gave that I hope they do keep
right.
in the
That's
end. I mean, we got to see something.
when
I mean,
read that in
180 million dollars. I mean,
yeah, come on, give
I
us
don't think
that.
we've seen all of that money on screen yet, but maybe we have. I don't know. TJ on YouTube says, "Why are people so obsessed with the green milk scene in TLJ?"
Because it
It
was just
yeah,
just
it's
came out
like
of nowhere. It
out of
was
left
funny.
field. Yeah, and
It
it's
was
it's
like,
weird
oh,
milking.
milking.
Yeah, an
But
alien
hey,
species.
you got to get your protein somehow. But
Calcium.
calcium. Yeah. Anyways, I'm currently reading Phase 3. Yeah, that's another thing. There's phases of the High Republic that I'm like, it just kept going, and that's great. I'm really happy. Disney needs to do Bane. I think we're gonna get that. We
Yeah,
it's weird. I think after what happened with the sequel trilogy, with the rushing of the sequel trilogy, and kind of the productions of all these other ones, it's like it feels like now they're taking their time with these things, and now it's like, okay, maybe hopefully they start to go back even further. Drink. Oh, I don't know. I have to dive into this one. I didn't catch this one. The
Yeah,
drink.
so the big like almost like yeah, like weedish looking plant creatures. They've done like pictures
Oh,
of them.
oh, like the tree, the trees that are moving and stuff like that, or is that
Well, I mean,
another
I think they're
story?
kind of like a like an overall villain of
Oh, okay. Oops. I said
like you have the Nihil and then you have these Drengir, I
Ooh,
believe. I don't
okay.
know. Correct
Yeah,
us
send us a
if we're
picture.
wrong. I've seen
I
a
wish we could
picture.
get pictures on here. That'd be actually no, I don't wish we could get pictures. Some people are crazy. But anyways, uh, and then no, there's still a lot of haters online. Oh yeah, you're always gonna have haters online,
Yeah, I mean,
but
yeah, we talked about it in the past. Shows that do like negative stuff, they get a lot of clicks and likes and views and
which
stuff,
is
and
why if you ever hear David and I start bad mouthing,
we're
we're
making
literally
money.
we're making money. All right, we started making money,
We're
so we're like
actually making hardcore
we're
money.
gonna start, just trashing Star Wars. No, no, no. We don't. No, we're never gonna do that. Filoni loves taking stuff from Legends. I watched an interview a while back where he basically said sometimes there's no point making up new characters. That's true. I mean, if you have stuff that already exists within Star Wars, quote unquote, it's pretty easy to bring it back in and kind of. And one thing they're also doing is they're kind of manipulating it in a way to where it works for what you have, like working for what
Yeah.
you're doing with this canon.
Which I
And
mean, with Filoni, it's really kind of contradictory. What Darth Ace One just kind of said. Filoni loves taking stuff from Legends. Yes, he does, but he doesn't like following the storyline from canonical material that was
yeah,
created during the Disney era of Star Wars because he's changed a lot of stuff, like the whole Cobb Vanth storyline. He's changed that a little bit, and I mean, he just kind of I think they did, and I forgot how it came to be, but they instituted the rule that live action kind of usurps whatever's written in comics and novels. So,
they changed Ahsoka's backstory with the Tales of the Jedi. They kind of
right,
tweaked.
right, and yeah, and Asajj Ventress too. It's like we all thought she died in Dark Disciple, and apparently she didn't. And I don't
So
think
he
we
pretty
did. We get an explanation in Bad Batch of how she survived? We didn't, right?
no,
It's just like she's here for an
she's
episode and
here.
then she's gone.
He pretty much did what George Lucas did. He just kind of said,
Right,
from a
right,
certain point of view,
right.
this works. And
So yeah. So I mean, if we could get like Star Wars to put out like a big bulletin of how we need to interpret Star Wars, and that I think George Lucas probably said it best, and that all these stories that are told by different creators and created by different creators, it's like campfire stories. The
mm,
canon might not be exactly right because when I tell a story, then James tells the same story. It's going to be different. So that's how George Lucas kind of sees Star Wars. And people get mad, all the naysayers on YouTube and everywhere else, like get mad about breaking canon. But you know how hard it is to keep up with
yeah,
canon in like TVs, film, comics, novels, short
and it,
stories.
and it all has to flow.
Yeah, it's like
It all
good
has to
God.
make sense. You can't have somebody in this and then be like, oh, they weren't actually there for that. So yeah,
Yeah, Musup Yoda on YouTube says, "Do or do not. There is no try. Bring us Yoda." I agree. I think we all agree.
and Bender, we were just messing around. There's no way you
Yeah,
show us
there's no way
picture.
for you to share a picture with us.
That'd be
We
really
could share a
funny.
picture, but
Yeah.
yeah, we're
Luke needed
podcasting.
to eat and drink on an island. The boy needs to eat. Yeah, true. He did
Yeah,
get his milk and he did get his fish.
yeah.
So
He got his omega 3
what's really
fatty omega
great
3 acids.
is there is a book. It was a kid's book that came out before The Last Jedi called The Legends of Luke Skywalker. And one
Uh,
of those stories was of how this person taught him how to fish with that hook. And so it was really cool that in the movie they showed that hook that
wow.
he fished with. And I was like,
Yeah.
that's pretty cool. Um,
Lord Duck 007. When's the ep come out?
that is
It
the
comes out after
name.
we finish our pre-show here, like in 25-ish minutes
Yeah,
or so.
25-ish minutes. Yeah. I have to, my wife and I are watching it together. And so I have to wait for her to get home. And so nothing drives me crazier than when she gets home and then the post show is starting. And I'm like, ooh, I can't I can't watch. I have to just focus. Ahsoka's backstory really wasn't really altered. Yeah, true. But I just know Star Wars is really good at kind of tweaking some things and introducing people that you didn't know about before, but for some odd reason it makes sense. And Qui-Gon Jinn being Obi-Wan Kenobi's master in Phantom Menace was one of those that we were all in our brains thought Yoda was Obi-Wan's master, and then
Yeah.
just added that character that became
Yeah.
also an iconic character, so
Yeah, that's the thing with the fans. I mean, once they tell us something that hasn't happened yet, that we haven't seen yet, a creator comes in and they kind of tweak it a little bit to where they can get around the syntax of the statement and change things and manipulate things that we thought were going to happen but don't. So just with like a dark side user in this time frame before the Phantom Menace, because of course Coyote Money said that Sith have been extinct for a millennium. But
I think that's going to be answered pretty. I think that explanation is going to be very simple. Why they think that.
Might be simple, might be complex. Who knows?
We'll see. But they have a guy who's in charge of canon. Dude needs to be fired. He needs to be fired for not staying true to the canon.
Well, see, okay, so here's the thing with that. I mean, they're still hanging in with canon. There's so many nuance. There's so much nuance. There's so much like a deep diving that you have to do to figure out, because you can't stay on the surface level with Star Wars stuff, because it's a very deep, rich history. It's super nuanced, super detailed with different characters. There's actually different types of canon too, which people I don't think kind of know. There's like the mainline canon, then there's the canon in the books and the written stuff. There's TV canon. There's like multimedia canon that really, like Coyote Money's birthday. I mean, that was from like a CD-ROM, and it's like, does that really count, guys? And of course, everyone goes to Wikipedia, sees it, and doesn't look at the tab at the top that says it's under Legends.
Yeah, which Coyote Mundi's age was.
And I'm not sure if they had his age in actual canon and they reversed it, they changed it. I don't know if that was like an error. I know there's like a big Wikipedia thing that happened and people started quitting because fans got a little crazy with like threats and stuff.
Which, come on, guys.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fake story in space. I mean, we all love it. It's Star Wars, one of the greatest franchises in the history of our modern reality. So, Bender says I had the Luke book.
Nice.
It's
a good book.
Obi Fluff Kenobi on YouTube says Acolyte episode 5.
Okay, before we go on, y'all's names are amazing. I just want to say all of your names are just fantastic. Okay, sorry, keep going.
Acolyte episode 5 fight scene was great. I hope we get another good fight scene with more stuff we haven't seen yet. I think we are. I think we definitely are. That's a great thought there. Noah Richer on YouTube says, I think most episodes of the show have been too confined on rural planets. One of the things that really excited casual viewers in the first 2 episodes was seeing new aliens and new planets. Acolytes did a great job with new planets, even that unknown planet. We're all theorizing that that's Baldemnik, which is an old Sith hangout, which is interesting. Musu Piot on YouTube says, I got a feeling that Soul found Chimere familiar because he recognized him from when he was a youngling, possibly Venestra's Padawan. I think that's what we're all kind of thinking.
Yeah, that scar on the back looks like a whip.
Scar,
like
a slash. And I think so. Okay, so we saw that Umber Moth get sliced in half. I think Vernestra is so skilled with that thing that she could just slide it along flesh without like splitting people in half.
Somebody. Yeah.
Right.
So
and he says Chimere, that is. TJ says his name's
it's Pablo's
Diablo. Well, I mean, I think he means Pablo Hidalgo. Yeah. So the cool thing is there are, I believe, 7 people in the story group, and I think Pablo Hidalgo and Leland Chi, who I've met several times.
Oh yeah.
Really super cool dude. I always ask him for a selfie. We take selfies at Celebration all the time. And in Chicago in 2019, we went to the podcaster meetup.
Oh, yeah, and he was just there.
And I just talked to him for like 15 minutes, and then we have this long conversation about stuff. He leaves, And then the podcasters that were there just watching it were just like,
I can't believe that just happened. Yeah.
they told me that, and I was like, I can't believe that happened either. I was able to hold a conversation with freaking Leland Chi, man. So, yeah, that was fantastic. Martin Luce says, I really hope that we get the backstory for Kymir. I really want that too. Kymir's awesome. And Saul alongside May and Osha. Can't believe they cliffhanged us twice in in this show's first season.
Yeah, we've got
Leslie Headland has stated that we're not going to get a cliffhanger at the end of the season, so cliffhangers now are better than at the end of the season, I think. So
true.
yeah.
What do we got? Canon is canon to me.
Yeah.
They're still being dead horse in regards to Kiadamundi's birthday. His birthday was only in Legends. Yeah, exactly. And it was so funny when that all happened. I remember just going on threads going like, what is going on? Oh, and Obi Fluff Kenobi is the dog's name.
Nice. That is great. I love it. We love it.
Uh-oh. Countdown City Geeks is in the house.
Yeah.
Fans love to complain about changing Star Wars lore, but Ahmed Best's explanation of the Force should be the biggest conversation right now. Yeah, his discussions with with George Lucas was pretty good. And I found out something about Ahmed Best, which was, his father was a filmmaker. So he's already introduced to that world. So during the filming of episode 1, Ahmed Best was right almost next to George Lucas a lot of the time watching George Lucas work. And I thought that was actually pretty cool.
So could you like paraphrase what Ahmed Best said about what the Force is?
That explanation was crazy what he said. I can't even begin to
do it justice.
Do it justice, because he kept talking. I'm not saying he was rambling, but like how like deep he got into it. I was like, oh, I never even thought about the Force that way. So if you ever get a chance, look at Ahmed Best at Rebel Scum convention, the con.
If you just YouTube Rebel Scum Con or follow them on Instagram, a terrific convention. They were the first convention to offer the Star Wars Stuff podcast a booth, and they said we're welcome every year to have a. All the auto listeners don't know why I'm laughing, but James just gave a big thumbs up, and we got a bunch of post 4th of July fireworks there. So yeah, I mean, Rebels Come Con, they were awesome to us. They were cool to talk to, cool to deal with. I mean, these past couple weekends, man, have been spectacular for me personally. For the podcast, yes, too, but me personally, talking to all these creators, I'm like, so I mean, okay, so yeah, you know me from the Star Wars Stuff podcast. I've been doing this for 6 years, but I don't feel like I have been doing it. I don't feel like nobody knows who I am. So going to these conventions, people walk up to me and start talking to me, and I'm like, have we met before? And then I start thinking, maybe they know the podcast, dummy.
The funniest, before we go on though, the funniest thing was when we were in San Antonio last year for the superhero car show and comic and the convention there. They asked, does anybody here know the Star Wars Stuff podcast? And some people started clapping, and you just see David and I going like, who? Like who? Like
we're trying to look. We got fans.
We got fans here. Like what is this? It was so
people
funny.
are listening in San Antonio.
But so our next comment theoretically is the same age as Soul. How do y'all think he's using the Force? Looks so young. Maybe that's another. Yeah, because he said because the way he's talking, he sounds much older than what he is, and it could just be quote unquote the planet he's from, the species he is. Weirdly enough, or he looks like a person, but maybe he just ages differently.
What if we get a scene where his limbs start stretching out, and he's Plagueis?
That would be nuts.
You're like, no, David, no.
Nuts. But back to he could be just chilling in a back to tank, just getting younger by the day. Put that moisturizing his face and his
maybe
pecs,
he filled that pond on that planet with Bacta.
Yeah, maybe
that's
what
he's
needed
a quick charge. Yeah.
And then like the guy from the most recent Jedi game. He stayed in that thing, and it just kept him alive that whole time from Jedi Survivor.
Yeah, and he was from the High Republic.
Which, by the way, that game is amazing. If y'all haven't played Jedi Fallen Order or Jedi Survivor, do it. It is amazing, and it's canon. All right. They should bring Jar Jar back. He's still alive in canon, operating as a street performer now. But that would be the ultimate. I'm not even gonna lie. Like that would break records.
Yeah, Jar Jar's good and all, but I mean Keller and Beck. I mean, we got a
Oh,
great
true.
Jedi. We can see Ahmed Best's face, and he can act, and that whole thing. And so I met Ahmed Best a couple
I
weekends
hate you.
ago,
I hate
and
you.
I asked him, "Are we gonna get more Keller and Beck, man?" And he was like, "I hope so." And I'm like, "Yeah,
Oh,
we're gonna get Keller." So yeah,
God.
he's coming
Yeah,
back.
when that elevator door opened in Mando and it was him, I looked at my wife and I was like, that's top. That's one of the top moments in Star Wars right there. That was just perfect.
Yeah,
Um,
Musup Yoda on YouTube says you guys are a weekly staple on my podcast schedule, and thanks for all the content you continue to create. Thank you so much, man.
oh, thank you. Yes.
And yeah, let's everyone in chat, like, let's beg James to come back on the podcast every week,
Oh, come. I mean,
because sometimes he's like too busy, but he needs to make more time because James is a great podcaster and we need him
okay.
on the show.
I'm blushing right now. Y'all need to knock it off here.
He's a great
Okay.
actor too, so I've seen him act in a movie, in a real legit movie, and I was like, oh my God, he should live in Hollywood. Okay, he has my permission.
Thank you. Thank you, David. I appreciate it.
So,
Anyways, let's get back to
yeah,
Star
and
Wars.
James might be in something you might see in the future too.
Oh, I mean,
Might,
might.
right?
Yeah,
Okay.
we still gotta, I sent it off. We still gotta see what
Things
happens.
have to go down, but
Things have to go
yeah,
down, and it would be pretty cool if it does happen, but I can't say what it was. But yeah, Jedi Fallen Order and Jedi Survivor are go. Yes, they are amazing, amazing games. And if you haven't played them, play them. And he saved Grogu. Yeah, he saves Grogu. Like that was it. I remember that big mystery. Who saved Grogu? And when we saw his face, I was like, that's the best thing in the whole world. I'm so happy.
yeah, that was awesome.
That was
So
the
Bender
best.
says, please, James, please. Darth Ace One, our awesome Patreon supporter. Can we get a Galen Merrick cameo? Sammy. I met Sam Whitwer too a couple weekends ago.
You met
And
everybody, man.
I asked him some questions, and
He punched you in the face, right? Just kidding.
I couldn't move him. I tried
Yeah,
to
I'm about
move
to
the
say, yeah,
man.
you said you couldn't even move
I
the
was
guy.
like, oh my gosh, you're a big dude. He's all muscle. I
Yeah.
tried to move him. I said, no, we're not going to stand here for this photo op. We're going to move. No, he was immovable. And I haven't told anyone this, but I ran into him in the hallway too. And so since I'm also working with Countdown City Geekcast, Countdown City Media Group, we were allowed access to go to the volunteer area where they had like stuff, and he was just walking around, and he was trying to get to another place, obviously, but he looked at us, and I want to say he said, "What's up, guys?" So I was like, "You remember me?" But I didn't.
Know my name?
So Benner says, "Please, I'll give you Fry." I don't know what that means.
Sorry. Speaking of
French fry?
podcasts, how many official hosts are there now? I feel like I haven't heard about. Man, that's
When
a
Colin
good
comes on the
question.
post show, ask this question. Let's see what he says.
Yeah, he. Okay, yeah, just ask Colin. David and James duo is the GOAT podcast. Thank you so much.
I told you, James.
I appreciate
I've been telling James on chat that he needs to podcast more because he's one of the greatest living podcasters.
But what's more important,
walking
though,
the planet,
is that Sam is weirdly hot. Sam Witwer is weirdly hot, is what TJ says.
He has an interesting look to him.
He hasn't aged. Like I've been watching him for
Yeah,
a while,
he
and I'm
hasn't.
like,
I
you
saw him
look
up
the
close, and
same.
I was like, dude, you haven't. You got that like Paul Rudd gene.
Yeah,
dude.
I don't know what that is because I remember
Yeah.
seeing him when he was younger, and then you sent us that picture. I was like, he looks the same. He's doing something good for him though. Colin never responds.
I hope Colin's watching right now.
Colin's like,
Colin will be on the post show, so we got a lot of questions for Colin
yes,
coming up.
please write them down, have them ready, so when Colin comes on, y'all can just start asking him all the questions here. But yeah, we are now 15 minutes away from the next episode.
All right, so before, so I'm not sure if I can say this or not, but I'm gonna talk about this later on tonight.
Okay.
But so I do work with Countdown City Geekcast, and it looks like, I'm not sure if I'm going to get a message here not to say this, but
Are you saying someone's gonna? Are you announcing somebody right now? Is that what you're doing?
announcing somebody.
Keep going. Don't worry about it.
So, I'm going to be at San Diego Comic-Con and probably in Hall H as media.
Oh,
There's not going to be any big Star Wars stuff on stage. There's
But-
going to be a lot of Star Wars exclusives, which is kind of awesome.
weird.
There's going to be Phantom Menace 25th anniversary stuff. I know there's like a Jar Jar Tiki with like a special logo on the back. I know there's a Darth Maul speeder action figure. There's an Off-World Jawa action figure. It's like $80.
Oh my gosh.
There's gonna be like some sets of figures. I'm trying to remember everything, but I'll probably be buying some of those and maybe giving some of those away on the podcast.
So wait, you're like, I'm probably gonna be buying.
Yeah, so
some
I
of
mean,
these
it's
things.
I mean, we've never applied officially to San Diego Comic-Con as Star Wars Stuff Podcast because I mean, it costs a lot of money to fly and then
And-
find a place to stay, and then you got to buy tickets like a year ahead of time. So we've never really officially planned that out. But through Countdown, we're helping them, and of course, Ted has helped us out
Yes.
tremendously and got me and James backstage to talk to Katie Sackhoff, which we've talked
great.
about several times, and talked to Ming Na Wen a little bit.
That was a
here
year
and there.
ago. That happened a year ago today.
Oh wow,
That
The
was a year
synergy.
ago today. I met Katie. I talked to Katie Sackhoff about the best taco stand in LA.
Yeah, which is
was
insane,
amazing.
Guys.
That was
There's no
craziest.
photographic proof of this, but I was there. I can vouch for James. We all left him, and
Yeah,
James and Katie Sackhoff were like hanging out in like a green room type of setup, and I'm like, "Where's James at?" And I look, and I see James, and I'm like, "God, what is James doing?"
She put her hand on me to like.
Oh my gosh.
she's like wait, what's the name of it? I'm just like Katie Sackhoff just touched my shoulder. But again, what was really funny was that Ted is announcing her on stage, and they're showing her sizzle reel, and I'm looking at her going like, "You got to get on stage." You gotta go. But anyways, Craig is great, but David and James fire. No, Craig is the best. If you ever want to get Craig going, talk about The Last Jedi, and then you are gonna have a great. Now Craig is awesome. Craig cracks me up. Colin. Okay. Anyway, we're gonna just ignore that one. Okay. Guys, that's
Oh
that's
my
compliment.
gosh, that is
All right.
like I gotta take a picture of that.
Y'all need to stop. Okay, we're trying to talk
Oh my
about. See, Parker
gosh.
Middleton knows what's up. Let's hope these last 2 episodes are epic. Of the Acolyte, I think they are. I think we're gonna be getting like these last 2 episodes are gonna leave us just like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. I have a feeling tonight's episode and next week's episode is gonna be amazing.
Yeah,
Never
move soup
watched
with a
the
deep cut.
Last
So say
Jedi.
we all.
Last
TJ says
Jedi.
TLJ is the best of the sequels.
And not many people agree with you, but I agree with you, TJ. As you can tell, I have my posters in the back. The Last Jedi is my favorite of the sequels. Hey guys, one from Australia. Oh, let's hope episode 7 is a great one. Longer too. Yeah, we're all hoping that this last episode is long. I'm hoping it's like 45 minutes. Called you guys old.
Yeah, we are. Well, we are kind of old in comparison to
we are old.
a lot of Star Wars fans that are still Star Wars fans. So, yeah,
David and I figured out. David, not so much because you were born in 81, right?
right. I was negative 4 years old when A New Hope came out.
But you're older than Return of the Jedi is what I'm getting to.
Yeah.
So you're kind of
By 2 years.
You're like borderline first generation Star Wars fan. I'm
Yeah.
1.5 generation Star Wars fan because I'm right in the middle between the original trilogy and the prequels. What questions do you want answered from this episode? I guess what happened that night, 16 years ago. I really want to know the truth.
Yeah,
happened
get the
that night.
definitive
Yeah.
truth behind what happened on Brendok.
And I want to hear that conversation between the Jedi when they decide to do whatever it is we think they're going to do. So that's what I'm really looking forward to. But the best scene was when Chewie ate a pork.
Yeah, that was pretty
pork
epic.
I have a no, I don't. It's not a. I used to have a stuffed porg, and my keychain I have a porg on. It's so adorable.
Man, one of my regrets of Star Wars merchandising was not buying that really nice fluffy porg they had at like the Disney store. And I told Colin when he was working at the Disney park buy me one of those, and
You
he
mean like
didn't.
the little one about this big?
Yeah, it's like it's not like plush, but it was like I don't know how to describe it, but it's like a foot tall. It was
Oh, okay,
it
never
was
mind.
like a skinnier version. I don't know, and it had like different types of fur on it. I don't know, it's kind of hard to explain, but I don't see them anywhere now. I don't see him on eBay, don't see him anywhere,
Man,
and I told Colin to buy me one and he didn't.
you messed up big
He
time.
was like, "I just left the store." And I'm like, "Turn back around and get me one," but he didn't.
TJ does say we are old. Oh, we are old white
White
geeks.
geeks and very proud of it.
All right, we're just gonna say yeah, we are. Noah says questions for y'all regarding the bingo. We are officially counting or touching of OSHA at the end of episode 5. Force healing.
Ooh. So here's the bingo card.
I mean, wait,
Why
where you
doesn't it come up? Oh, I think we're hitting buttons simultaneously here.
go?
So yeah. Starlight Beacon, talk of the Sith being extinct.
Man, we haven't
Nihil,
got it.
Holocron, Darth Plagueis.
All of these
Yoda.
get answered last 2 episodes. Like all these are getting filled last 2 episodes, guys. Just wait.
Yeah, we got to make them easier next time, guys.
Yeah,
Sorry
we
about that.
we were because what it is Ray will create it and then we start to give them like suggestions, and so that was
Yeah.
what we were thinking. So yeah, we're gonna make it a little easier. About we'll say that is force healing. Chewy. Yeah, that's right. He said sure. I want to know soul. Yeah, yeah. We all want to know what went down. We all want to know the actual story of went down, and I think we will get that this episode. Do you guys have a PO box for fan mail? We do not, but you can just send us email, a nice email, or ship it to David's house.
You know, we actually can get a PO box.
What?
Yeah.
Let's talk about this later. We still got 7 minutes. Let's talk about this later.
Okay. Well, I know someone that can get us a free PO box because if someone works at a specific job, and she's like, we can have a PO box that's close to my house.
You mean to tell me we could have had a PO box this whole time and been
no, because she just got this job.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense.
So yeah, and she made us brand new business cards too, which I've been handing out at local conventions, Superhero and Rebel Scum. So if you visited us there, you have the newest business card from the Star Wars Stuff podcast. So yeah.
Yeah. Oh, guess what? We have 66 people watching us right now. That is
nice.
Amazing.
That's
60.
a
Oh,
magic
never mind.
number.
It just dropped to the 68. You guys
it dropped to 68?
No, it just jumped up to 68.
Okay.
You ruined my joke. I was gonna say
Okay.
execute order 66.
So yeah, we got 8 minutes left before this episode drops. Final thoughts, James?
I said I just want to see what went down. I want to see what went down. I want to see some cool action. I want to see a Wookiee fighting with a lightsaber, something we've never seen before. But that's just for fun. But the actual story is what I really want to see. I really want to see what went down and why the Jedi did what they did, why they felt they were in the right to do what they did.
Dooku Gato says Kanaka's gonna cook tonight. Cook Torben's face, yeah.
Oh yeah,
it's gonna be traumatic.
But yeah, what about you? What are you hoping for? Same thing, or?
I'm hoping for some really, really rad lightsaber fighting. I'm hoping for definitive answers tonight. It's the second to last episode. I mean, we got to get some questions, some big questions answered. Yep. Hopefully we see Trinity from the Matrix again with a lightsaber do her thing. And I mean, if we don't get that, I want to see some Chimere stuff, some backstory, maybe we go to the High Republic and it's a young Vernestra and finds a little Padawan guy that is Chimere. And that's where we see like tens of millions of dollars spent. And we see the grand cityscape of Coruscant in all its glory.
That would be something. Man, that's pretty great.
Yeah, Darth Ace 1 says, I don't want the pre-show to end. I'll miss James.
Knock it off.
I tell him all the time. It's like, man, you need to be on the podcast more.
I don't need to hear this negativity. I'm just joking. But I will say, everybody, thank you for watching. I mean, we're not getting up, but just thank you for watching and thank you for sticking with us, because there are positive podcasts out there. But and I'm pretty happy with us being one of those, that we are one of the few podcasts that we genuinely love Star Wars. We love watching Star Wars and we love talking about Star Wars. And we don't understand how people can be so negative and pick on other people for liking certain things of Star Wars. We don't, that's not us. And so we just want to thank y'all for sticking with us through all of this, and knowing that you can come here and just listen to a couple of nerds nerd out about it, because that's what I love to do, just nerd out about Star Wars. So, and this isn't the only place I can do it, because no one else I know really wants to talk to me about Star Wars.
I mean, Crystal Kyber.
Yeah. Oh, we got in trouble on our last set. We were supposed to be breaking down because we were done filming the commercial, and we were over there just talking about Star Wars, and then we got in trouble for that. Oh, one more thing before I go. One more thing. Oh, we were talking to somebody, and he worked for some visual effects company, and he says I did some visual effects on episode 2, and I was like, what? He said he had to sign this whole NDA. He had to go through this whole thing, and they're like, you have one visual effects shot you have to do, and you have to create a creature. And he was like, oh my gosh, I get to create a creature for Star Wars. And then he gets it, and it's R2-D2 walking behind Anakin and Padme. And he was like, that was the big secret. Like, that was the big, like, of course R2-D2 is going to be in Star Wars. Like, why did you make me? Anyways, at this point, I appreciate whatever new Star Wars they give us. Yeah, I'm right there with you.
Yeah, I'm right there too. I mean, we don't have control over it. There's different creators, different thoughts, different minds, different upbringings. I just saw a video today of George Lucas, or actually no, I saw it last night. It's in the beginning of the beginning documentary of The Phantom Menace, where George Lucas is talking to Leslie Stahl so many years ago, and he says that all these stories are, I mean, they're about me. They're about my life. They're about my life experiences. That's all I know. That's what I tell. And yeah, if I made Star Wars, that would all my life experience would be in Star Wars as well.
Yep.
So that has something to do with the whole formula of these different creators making Star Wars.
George Lucas's obsession with fast stuff, This is great, Craig, to review The Last Jedi, because you're right, we would get a lot of people watching it, because his opinion about The Last Jedi is pretty strong, but he cracks me up. He is so funny. He makes me laugh, and he'll always throw in a jab at me sometimes about my love for The Last Jedi. So
I mean, yeah, I think it's just all about Luke Skywalker, how he didn't anticipate for him to be the way he was, and there was such a golden opportunity. But I mean, that's a character that we loved for decades growing up, and we didn't want to see the way it turned out. But I mean,
I blame. Never mind. We're not going to talk about it. Anyways, shot by shot breakdown of Canto by Craig would be Oscar worthy. Yes. Oh my gosh, please.
Let me do my Craig impression. What are we doing here? I mean, come on.
Gosh, but man, we had some mean deep dish pizzas with Craig in Chicago.
I didn't like that deep dish pizza, man. That is overrated as heck.
It was just the experience. It was just the experience of being in Chicago. Okay, we are.
Yeah, I mean,
we're a minute. I think we got to wrap this thing up.
Oh yeah, we got to go, guys.
Guys,
episode's probably airing, so yeah, we'll see you in the post show.
Yes, may the force be with y'all, and have fun watching the Acolyte. See you later.
See ya.